Allonursing in Giraffes, Fitness and Adaptation. So what I know you're probably wondering, what is allonursing exactly, and what does it have to do with the fitness of giraffes? Well, we'll begin with a simple definition to get us started. Allo, from the Greek word allos, meaning other, tacked onto nursing, refers to the maternal care of non-filial young, or in this case, female giraffes feeding calves that are not hers. Field researchers have observed and known about the behavior of allonursing for quite some time, but few of those observations have been documented, and only recently have there been studies on the root and adaptive significance of this behavior. A few quick facts before we begin. The gestation period of a giraffe is typically 15 months. That's roughly 455 days. Female giraffes typically reach sexual maturity at 4 or 5 years of age. Considering a female giraffe's typical gestation length and the age at which she becomes sexually mature, in a giraffe's lifetime, she may have up to 10 calves. Of those 10 calves, however, only roughly 25% of them will survive until adulthood in the wild due to predation. In regards to nursing, giraffe calves typically live off of their mother's milk until they are 12 months of age. At that point, they are weaned from their mother and begin to eat vegetation. So, what's the deal with female communal care regarding the nursing of the calves? The big question is whether or not the female is aware that she may be feeding someone else's calf. If she is aware, why would she choose to contribute her time and energy and resources to someone else's offspring? And if she isn't, how are the calves so sneaky? A study done by the Czech University of Life Sciences in Prague attempted to answer those very questions. Let's take a look. The researchers were focused on unveiling the adaptive and behavioral mechanisms by which this allonursing behavior came to be. They began by looking at the many different hypotheses proposed by previous research. The list is extensive, but they set out to address each and every one. The first hypothesis they sought to investigate is called misdirected care hypothesis. This one is a little different from all the others we'll talk about because it is considered a non-adaptive hypothesis. It predicts that females nurse non-filial offspring on accident, failing to recognize that the offspring are not their own. Then there's the kin selection hypothesis. It assumes that allonursing is preferentially directed to close kin and therefore serves to improve the fitness of the female. In other words, females will be more likely to feed the calves of females who they are more closely related to in order to aid in the growth of calves who share some of their same genes, belonging to a closely related family member, say a sister or a cousin. Third is a pretty straightforward parenting hypothesis, which predicts that allonursing by inexperienced females may improve their ability to raise their own offspring. Fourth, we have the social benefits hypothesis, predicting that females will preferentially allonurse the offspring of dominant females, assuming that in hierarchical societies, those females will reap social benefits. Then there is the milk evacuation hypothesis, which states females can nurse non-filial offspring to evacuate the surplus milk that their own offspring cannot consume. Basically, females feed other calves to get rid of their extra milk. Sixth is the reciprocal altruistic hypothesis. This hypothesis predicts that females will reciprocate allonursing bouts provided to their filial infants. In other words, if another female feeds their calf, they will feed that female's calf. And last but not least, number 7, the adaptive milk hypothesis. This one predicts that offspring attempt to steal, for lack of a better term, milk from a non-maternal female by suckling in a specific position, for example, far from a female's head or behind a filial offspring. So here was the actual study. 24 nursing females and 37 suckling calves in 4 different zoological gardens in the Czech Republic were observed every 7 to 14 days for a significant length of time, between 2007 and 2011. Each observation session lasted 6 hours. Throughout the study, It was important to keep a close eye on, as well as take record of, the identity of all the calves and female giraffes involved within each nursing session, the order of calves in terms of who came to nurse first, second, third, etc., the relatedness of the female adult and calf or calves she was nursing, and whether or not the female adult or the calf initiated and/or terminated the feeding period. Now the fun part, results. After a lot of observation, it was concluded that 43.8% of the nursing bouts were between female giraffes and non-filial calves, and that overall more than 80% of the female giraffes allonursed, as well as 86% of the calves fed from females other than their own mother. What? Roughly half of the nursing that was observed involved this thing called allonursing. Taking those statistics into consideration, there must be some huge significance of allonursing among giraffes. However, the question of whether or not female giraffes are purposefully nursing calves that are not their own still remains. The details of this study help knock out some of the hypotheses that were previously mentioned. The misdirected care hypothesis. Nope. The results do not support this. The failure of a female giraffe to recognize her own calf cannot be the explanation for allonursing, because it was found that the females initiated more nursing bouts with filial or her own calf than non-filial calves. She has to recognize her own calf. The kin selection hypothesis. Nada. The probability of successful suckling did not increase with kinship. The parenting hypothesis. Not the one either. Allonursing is not likely to be an adaptive behavior for inexperienced females to basically practice nursing, because females with multiple offspring were found to participate in allonursing more often than females with only one offspring. The social benefits hypothesis. Wrong again. The probability that the suckling bout was successful was not affected in any way by the social ranking of the female. Now getting to the good stuff. The milk evacuation hypothesis. Although this hypothesis was not the most supported, it was also not ruled out. Although the majority of calves with mothers who nursed other calves, they themselves went to other females to nurse, there were 95 cases of females only nursing non-filial calves. The reciprocal altruistic hypothesis. Maybe. The fact that there was a large incidence overall of allonursing occurring between two pairs of mother and calf greatly supports this hypothesis. There were 22 different observed pairings of, we can say, calf A and mother A plus calf B and mother B, in which the two mothers at least fed each other's calves once. Last but certainly not least, the hypothesis that was most supported throughout this entire study, the adaptive milk theft hypothesis. In more instances than not, non-filial calves positioned themselves in a way that made it difficult for the female giraffe to see them. Additionally, in most cases, filial calves were the ones to begin nursing first. The non-filial calves would then come up to begin nursing after the female was already nursing her own calf. Taking everything into consideration, this hypothesis received the most support from this particular study. So what does all of this even mean? Why care so much about the nursing tendencies of giraffes? It really does all go back to how miraculous adaptation is, and how the world we live in today, all of the things that we and the creatures around us do, arose because of the wild and amazingly complex concept of natural selection. Baby giraffes depend solely on their mom's milk. In conditions where their fitness could be improved by receiving additional milk or more diverse milk to build up their immune system, why not at least try to gain access to it? It seems that those baby giraffes who took the leap of faith to try something different and succeeded paved the way and enabled their descendants to do the same thing. Hence we have the incidence, success, and continuation of allonursing among giraffes.